off on my other monitor. Let me know if you're new, if you haven't joined me on any of my live streams. Patricia, hello, Patty. Nice to see you. Oh my goodness, some old friends, but not so old. Nice,
Debbie. I haven't joined you on Zoom before, but I've watched on YouTube.
Oh, good. Well, everything will always be available about a day later. You know, it's available right away, but I like to tweak it a bit and take out all of the chit chat in the beginning and stuff like that. So it's still available no matter what. But anyway, well, it's great to see everybody here. And for anybody watching from YouTube, welcome. And this tonight is all about etiquette and sportsmanship. So this is one of my favorite topics of all times when it comes to Mahjong. Oops, somebody just got booted out somehow. And it's something that carries over into, here's somebody coming back in again. All righty, let's get that in. It's something that carries over into our daily life. It's not just about Mahjong, but it's pretty much about any game you play, any social interaction you have. And if you see me moving or looking at another area, it's because I'm letting people in. I'm kind of juggling a lot of different things. So it's something that carries over into our daily lives all the time. And we are presented with some challenges when it comes to etiquette and sportsmanship, especially around the Mahjong table when we're playing with our dear friends. So tonight I have a presentation and I have a little worksheet that I'm gonna put up in the beginning. And so this is something that you can just do on your own. I'm not going to test you. I'm not going to, when we go through the question, you'll just be able to see whether you chose the right answer for some of these things. But this is a lot of fun and hopefully it'll be extremely educational. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And before we get started, what I'd like to do is just for those of you who have not been following me at all, I just want to share a little bit about what I do. Can everybody see this website? Yep, good. Hey, Phyllis, nice to see you. Okay, so I run events year-round, and there's one big event that I do every year in October, and it's a Mahjong conference. And if you guys have not heard about it, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. It is a combination of workshops, fundraising, social play, and tournament play. So there's something for everyone. And it is a lot of fun because you're getting together with people that are coming in from all over the country, some of the people you know from Facebook, and just to see how people meet for the first time is one of the most thrilling things, I think, for me when I run this annual conference. I mean, the hugs and the, oh my God, I finally get to meet you. I feel like I've known you all my life. So it's exciting to get to be with other people that are as passionate about the game as you are and to share in these things. This event is not just for beginners. It's not for experienced players. It's for everybody. We try to make the program so that everybody can learn something and benefit from this. So if you're thinking, oh, this is really not for me, think again. One of the great things about this year's event is that you have an option of doing all 3 days, which I'll explain to you in a minute, or you can do the solo day with just social play or tournament play. So when I say 3 days, right now, what I have is I have a 2-day schedule. set for this, which is a Thursday and a Friday. And if you come into this website, you could come in and look at the whole schedule. What I don't have yet is an additional night before get together for playing Mahjong socially, or even a little mini tournament, depending on how many people we get. So this is actually turned into a 3-day event. But the ticketing, if you go in here, there's so many options for the ticketing. If you live locally, there's ticketing pricing. If you are coming in, the ticketing coming in from out of town, the ticketing includes 2 nights hotel stay at this beautiful hotel. And again, it's all here. If you come in, you can even come down here and you can watch the video about the upcoming conference. So I encourage you to do that and read more about it. Go into the schedule, look at the schedule, look what's going on. I have several workshop leaders already in place, and I still need a couple of more. I need volunteers, I need exhibitors, I need sponsors. All of these things I'll be working on regularly up until about a month before the event. So if any of that appeals to you, please come in here and click on the link here, and then you could fill out an application or follow the instructions on the page. It's pretty easy. Another thing real quick I want to talk about is this website has a ton of stuff. First of all, it's got the calendar of events that are going on. So if you click on this, you could go through the different months and look at what's going on. But it also has this, which is so cool. And it's not just because it's mine, but I just think it's so cool. It is all about all of the National Mahjong League rules that are in their guidebook, which is what it's called, which is actually their rule book. It's also National Mahjong League rules that are not in their book, because some of them don't make it there. They only make it to a bulletin, or they only make it to a letter to a player. It also has some strategy. Come in and play with it. If you see something that's missing, if you want me to write an article on a particular strategy that's not in here, send me a message through the contact us button and I'll be glad to do that. I've had a few people already send me messages to do that. But let's just say, you want to find out about dead hand rules, and God knows there's I was going to say crap load. Is that okay to say on a live stream, I guess? And you could come in and look at the different scenarios that there are and read about the different dead hands. I mean, it's kind of boggling, but you should find pretty much a scenario in here or something very close to it that kind of says the same exact thing. So just play around with it. Another thing is, like, let's just say you put in the word commitment. You want to know what's a commitment to Mahjong? What's a commitment to calling a discard? What's a commitment to discarding a tile? What's a commitment to a joker exchange? Picking from the wall. All of these are in a question and answer format. And then the source where it came from is in there as well. So if it's in the rule book, it's going to say Mahjong Made Easy 2020 edition, page blah, blah, blah. Okay. So this is really a fun place to come in and look, bookmark it, have it on your phone. You have any disagreements while you're playing with your friends, which is kind of a little bit of what tonight's all about. You can always look it up and say, hey, here's the rule. Here it is, without having to. Okay. The other thing is, and then we're going to move right on, this will be really quick, is the player database, which is growing. I want this to grow to 1,000 or more players because there are that many across the country. This is a way for people to find you if they're visiting your area or they move to your area. And this is also a way for you to connect with other players if you're on vacation and visiting. If you wouldn't mind, please fill out the contact us form if you want to get in here, put your name in, put your email, your city, state, and zip code is mandatory for me to put you in the database. Phone number, optional. Please, please do this. It's not just for you, but it helps other people connect to you. And that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to make a place where somebody can rely on this database. And once it grows big enough, they'll be able to rely on this database. Right now, if we go in and search for, if you want to just go by state, for instance, you don't want to look at city, it'll just sort it by state. So you can see we've got a lot of people that have been requested to be entered in 2 pages of Florida people. Lots of, all over, but obviously you want to know who is closer to you. But please send me your information. I so appreciate it. All righty, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started, and I'm going to see if I bring up this PowerPoint presentation. If you can see this, you see it says live stream series part 2, etiquette and sportsmanship. Okay, excellent. All right, hello there, YouTube watchers. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. All right, so the way the format's going to work is I'm going to start a little bit, and then we're going to take a little bit of time to just do that worksheet. Pretty simple, and it's on screen, so you could just write down, like you could just put question 1 and write down your answer. You'll see how that goes in a minute. And then I'm going to go through the slides. I'm going to talk about the different items that come up, and then after, I'm going to open it up to a Q&A or comments or things that you might want to share. And I do have a sheet that includes more than etiquette and sportsmanship, but it's like my golden rules of Mahjong. So if there's something in here or something that's not here that you think would be a good addition to this, share it with me. I'd love to add it on and include it in a future event. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and get my little picture minimized here so I can start. Oh, why did this little guy come up? Okay. All right. So welcome to live stream series part 2, etiquette and sportsmanship. And by the way, next month, the live stream part 3 is going to be taking a deep dive into the National Mahjong League rules. So that's going to be really great because some of them are hard to understand, to say the least, a little confusing. All righty. Okay, so anytime we display a behavior or we have a continual habit that we do from day to day, they're very, very hard to break. Because we know habits are hard to break. And the experts say that it takes 21 days to actually break a habit. So a habit is something that is done repeatedly, and it just becomes automatic. It's an unconscious action that you don't even think about. It's actually inputs of the environment on a person. That's the definition of a habit. A behavior, I got somebody coming in a little bit late. A behavior is triggered by the nervous system and the endocrine systems, and they are reactions to impulses in the environment. These are conscious as opposed to a habit, which is unconscious. Those are outputs of a person to its environment. So we'll kind of see, we're going to do a couple of examples before we do this little worksheet, and you'll be able to see. Okay, all righty. So here's a little chart to kind of help us understand how these inputs and outputs work, okay? So we have a cue first. Let's take the cue. A cue is a reminder, and it's a trigger that kicks off the behavior. So let's just say, let's use an example. If someone is very loud and interrupting the game, okay? All right, now we go from this trigger, which is going on, this loud and disruptive person, and we go to routine. And the routine is the repeated behavior or the habit. So you are repeatedly rude. Let's say this person is disruptive and you are taking this cue, this environmental signal, and you are continually being rude and remind that person about how loud they are. Then you have a reward. Well, in this particular situation, the only thing I could come up with for the reward is that it makes you feel more powerful and more in control when you criticize this person or tell this person about how loud and disruptive she is, or he, I should say. All right, now another example of this cue would be you step on the scale in the morning and you see those pounds going up. Uh-oh, right? All right, so now what would a routine be for that kind of cue? That kind of routine might be you're going to start a diet and you're going to exercise more. And then guess what? What's the reward? The reward is the pounds start going down on the scale. So you can think of a lot of situations, and as we go through these different slides, we're going to talk about the different ways that these could trigger responses in you. All right, so here we go. Now that we know what a habit is, okay, unconscious, and a behavior is conscious, just give yourself a try at answering these here. Just go from the top one, read it, and jot it down. And I'm going to give you guys time to do that. So no rush. We have plenty of time here. But let's see. It's 6:48. So how about I say 10 minutes to get this done? That's probably, and if everybody is done before, you could just put a comment if you want into Zoom. And welcome again, YouTube viewers. Okay, so
Mr. Good. Come on, let's go.
We probably won't need 10 minutes. If
No,
you're done, you can just type done in the comments. When I get enough done, I can start. You can always finish as we go through, but I don't think we'll need a full 10 minutes.
I don't think so.
Does make you think, though. All right, so we got lots of done. Okay, cool. All right, excellent. All righty. So let's start out with talking about the first one. A player deals out everyone's tiles, even though she has been told everyone should take their own. Well, that is anybody want to guess? Habit. Now, a lot of these cross over a bit, but you know, there's pretty close to being one or the other. So you might have had a little trouble with a couple of them. Player puts up more than one exposure and they push all the tiles together instead of having separations. Habit. A player gasps and says, "Oh my, you just missed a joker exchange." Behavior. And there was that cue from the player who missed it, and that triggered this person to have this response. That's a behavior. Two players are gossiping, and another player says, "Can you guys please wait until we are setting our walls to talk?" And that one is another behavior. Player constantly taps her finger on her rack in rhythm to the background music. That's a habit. Oh my goodness. I had a dear friend who did this. It nearly drove me crazy. That might have been why I started this whole thing. No, I'm just kidding. Player receives phone calls during the game and carries on the conversation at the table. Well, that one could be kind of both too, but it's behavior. Better criticizes the decisions the player she bet on made after losing the bet. Behavior. Player is excited for the winner of the game and says, "Well done." Habit. Player chews gum like a cow and makes that cracking sound throughout the game. Anybody know anybody like that? I had an aunt, may she rest in peace, and oh my goodness, they asked me to fill in. That was when I was young and I thought they were old. Oh, it's funny how life works, isn't it? And she was one of those gum crackers. Ooh, really tough to take. Player sees, so that's a habit, if I didn't say that. Player sees another player taking another piece of chocolate and says, "I thought you were on a diet." Ooh, that's really bad behavior. Okay, so bad behavior creates bad habits, and it just is hard to break these things. Sometimes I wonder where these behaviors came from. Is it upbringing? I think a lot of it might be upbringing. I don't know for sure, but it could be upbringing, other things that have gone on in their life. It could have to do with relationships that they've been in, and insecurities, and lots of different things cause us to behave poorly, because I don't think people really intend to do that. I really don't. Okay, so let's go on here and let me ask Did a lot of you get this right? You can put some in the chat. You could go ahead and just put yes, no, some, a lot. How did you do? Did you do pretty good? No? Yes? I don't see anybody putting anything in chat yet. Just do a couple of, just let me hear a couple from you. Okay, now can you, oh, good, perfect. All right, so I got all but one, 50%, 3 wrong, 9 out of 10. My answers varied. A lot of habits I thought were behaviors. Well, some of them are crossovers and can really be considered both. So don't worry about that. So if you thought they were a little hard to tell, yes, they're very, very fine line. The biggest thing is that did something else trigger your response, your action, your behavior? And that's how you can tell the difference between a habit and a behavior. A habit, like tapping your fingers on your rack, is not something triggered. It's just a bad habit you've gotten into. All right, so that's really the key. Did something trigger your response? All right, so let's go ahead and obviously, can you relate? I'm sure you guys can. Okay, so I have titled these based on my golden rules. And after the event tonight, I'm going to put a link to the golden rule sheet so you could download it if you want, because it's got more things than we are going to be going over tonight that don't necessarily point to etiquette and sportsmanship. So here's one of the things that's pretty important to get in good habits with, and that is not racking your tiles until you have them, until all the tiles are dealt out. Why is that such an important habit to get into? Because if you're short, you're going to be dead. So many of you who are watching tonight automatically do this, but some of you may not know that and may not. And you may think, well, why would I put my tile? Why don't I just start racking them? Well, the reason you don't rack them is mostly because you don't want to be called dead and end up short. And that's what happens when you don't put them out. So you can count your stacks of 4. I know some people put them in a row and they flip their tiles up. That could be slightly dangerous, but I think for those that do that, they know exactly where they start and exactly where they end. So that's not so bad. All right, here's another one. Do you touch other people's tiles? You're not supposed to. So if you do, it might be one of those habits you want to try to get in the habit of not doing, because you're not supposed to touch anybody else's tiles. I feel like there's one exception to this, and I don't know whether it's necessary to ask your opponents, your Mahjong friends about it, but every once in a while, you're in the middle of a game, you're at the end of a game and in the middle before your next game, and somebody gets up to go to the bathroom. And you want to go ahead and get started and deal out the tiles. I see that happen quite a bit. I'm not opposed to that, but I usually will ask if I'm in a new game, if they mind me doing that, because some people do not, they just do not want you to touch their tiles regardless. So that's a good one to keep in mind. Do you allow spaces between your exposures? Well, you're supposed to. It's not a rule. There is no penalty if you don't, but it is etiquette. And it's the nice thing to do when you put exposures up on your rack. I know a lot of people that don't. I've done a lot of events in person and I pay attention. Sometimes people are pretty adamant about it. It's not a rule. I don't need to. Well, no, it's not, but it's the polite thing to do. When you don't have to put them in order, but you definitely want to have spaces. Golden rule number 4. Are you a bit too eager to get a joker? Well, here's another kind of combination of things. Don't touch somebody else's tile, but it's really hard to resist when you are going for a joker. So the National Mah Jongg League has finally put something in their guidebook that says it is preferred that you do a hand-to-hand joker exchange. And that will now prevent some people from doing this, because I played with a lovely, lovely lady, and I swear to God, she nearly threw herself across the table and destroyed everybody's tiles by grabbing the joker. She was so excited. My goodness, you're not diving for buried treasure. So you aren't supposed to do this. You're supposed to hand your tile to the player and ask them to hand you their joker. My golden rule number 8, if you are a bettor, have you ever said something like this? Why did you play that hand? I don't know how many of you play with a bettor, but I have had this situation before where, they're just crazy because they had bet on you and they thought you were playing one hand, and you ended up that you were not playing that hand, and they lost. They lost the bet. You're not supposed to say anything to anybody if you bet on them, if they bet on you and they didn't go the way you want, because we all see the tiles a different way. So not everybody's going to see every single hand that you see. All righty. Do you criticize others' choices? So during the game, you're playing, you're having a great game, and all of a sudden somebody throws somebody else's mahjong tile and you didn't like when they threw it, and you say something to them. Why'd you throw that now? Well, this is another example of the fact that we all make our decisions. It's individual choice. Nobody, regardless, look, beginner players, newer players are going to maybe make decisions that are not wise. As you get to be a more advanced player, you're going to make better choices about this. But even the most advanced players may decide to take a risk at a time when someone else doesn't think it was the right time. And they might have a reason, and they don't owe you the reason. They don't need to explain themselves. Nonetheless, it's your choice and your choice to make. Here's another good one. This one happens probably the most out of anything that I experienced during a game. Oh my goodness. Somebody throws a joker and everybody says, wait a minute. Oops, you missed the joker. Okay, so somebody throws a tile instead of the joker. This, I think, is wrong, or maybe I meant it to be two things. But anyway, somebody throws a natural tile instead of doing a joker exchange. And actually, it's duo. So sorry about that. It's been a while since I looked at this graphic. It's a duo. It's both, look, everyone, she threw a joker, and oops, you missed the joker. So maybe I should have had it on two, but it's both, it's duo. So the first one is somebody throws a joker and everybody, and both of these are probably the most commonly said things that I hear around a mahjong table. And everybody says, oh, she threw a joker, like, uh-oh, watch out, whatever it is that they say. And the other one is missing a joker. Again, you don't know why someone did what they did. You might think because they threw a joker that they're now waiting on a single tile or a tile for a pair. But in fact, they may be doing it for another reason entirely, okay? Or, oops, you missed the joker. It's another example. Somebody might miss a joker, but they may not need that tile for any reason. Now, we all know that if there's a joker up there that can be still up for grabs, you should take the joker even if you don't need it. And then you've always got a safe tile to get rid of later on. So these are two very common things. Should not be said. We got to keep it, whoop, zip it up. All right, so here's a gum chewing. This was in that question sheet. Gum chewing. Again, you know, you're around, you're close, you're in close quarters with your opponents, your Mah Jongg buddies. You don't want to be chewing gum loudly while you are playing Mahjong. Okay, another one. Do you chit chat a tad too much? Oop, I see I made a little mistake. Whoops, hold on, let me go back. I see I made a little typo there. Do you chit chat a tad too much? Well, some people get very, very annoyed by too much chit chat. So maybe keep it up, keep it to when you're mixing the tiles and building the walls instead of during. One of the things that I find is that we lose track a little bit more often than we used to. I'm going to say in my age category. Okay, I know some of you might be younger out there and you don't have this challenge anymore, but I can tell you, I lose track of who went if somebody's talking a lot in between the game. I'm sure some of you can relate to this and you've played with others that do a little bit too much chit chat. All right, this is a real big one for me, and it is a big challenge at times. It's not just answering the phone, but I know that a few people that leave their notification when they get a text message on the maximum volume that it can be, and it is disruptive. It doesn't have to be at the maximum volume. It could be lower. If you need to keep it on because you have maybe a spouse that is not well, or if it's during the day and you're expecting a call from a doctor's office, you could leave it on low. You could let everybody know that you may be expecting a call, or you have a spouse that's not well and you have to keep an eye on your phone, but it doesn't have to be at maximum volume. And if you get a call, excuse yourself and leave the table. Another thing that happens is people leave their phones on speaker these days. I don't know if they realize it or they don't understand, but have you guys ever been to a restaurant and you're sitting next to someone or near somebody and they're on the phone, and you not just hear the person who's sitting in the restaurant, but you hear the entire conversation both ways because they have it on speaker? Okay, the next golden rule I have here is, do you take too long to make a move? Well, this happens quite a bit. I play with experienced players that do this because they're keeping track of a ton of hands and they're getting confused, and every single time it comes around to them, they're taking forever to play, to make their move. And this is kind of common. So it may depend on what level player you are as to how long you're going to make your move. But nonetheless, you could become more conscious of it and not do that every time if you are the one doing it. All right, how about this one? Food over the table, or getting food on the tiles. God, this is one of the things that does kind of bother me a little bit, but I do serve food and I do have snack trays always at my table so that people will not have the food on the tables, but some people don't have that liberty to have snack trays or whatever. And people do come and have food on their lap or sometimes over the table. But what if you're serving something that like chocolate that melts? I've seen people, I watch people pick up a piece of chocolate and not wipe their hands after, and then I see the chocolate on the tiles. We all know that the tiles get dirty, right? Well, where does it come from? Our fingers. But I'm amazed sometimes when I watch people, they don't use napkins. I put napkins out, but they don't use them. That's something you could think about a little bit more next time you are enjoying the snacks that you've put out or that your friends have put out. Oh, did I go too far here or did I not? Let's see. Yeah. This is another big one. Are you a humble winner? All right, so this one also can apply to when you get a joker exchange, right? I've even seen it done when people pick a joker and they let everybody know. Joker. Oh, my goodness, nobody wants to hear that, number one. We don't need to know that you got your joker. But this one in particular is pointing to the player that wins and celebrates that he won at the table. Instead of celebrating that you won, it's nice for somebody else, and that's going to be coming up, to acknowledge your win and congratulate you. And here's this example here. Somebody wins, nice hand, great job. I often see people, instead of doing this, they don't even acknowledge the person that won, and they go to their complaining about all the reasons why they didn't win the game. Look at my hand, I was on call, look at how beautiful, you know, I didn't have a joker the whole time, look at all the jokers you had, and doing everything except acknowledging a great win. And it's really nice to hear somebody say to you, nice job. What a nice hand that was. All right, here's another one. Kind of mentioned it a little bit in the screen before. Are you a complainer? I haven't won a game in weeks. I haven't gotten one joker all night. Oh my goodness. Now I know that some of you know people that do this, but my question is, do you do any of these things? All right, do you hum, whistle, or sing while playing? I've been known to do that, and I have to curtail. Sometimes we have this great 60s music playing in the background, and we all know those words to all the music, so it's a little challenging. But I know people don't really want to hear, unless you're going to be trying out for American Idol, they may be really thrilled to listen to your voice, but most of the time people don't want to hear. I remember one player said to me, I don't mind if you sing, but don't whistle. She says, I hate whistling. I was like, okay, no problem. All right, and this is the tile tapper. Oh my, like I told you earlier, I had a friend that was a tile tapper. My goodness gracious, her finger tapped on the rack almost all night long. I guess if you can just block it out, then you don't have to worry about it at all. But I'm not really good with that. When I'm playing and concentrating and all that, I like it to be kind of quiet, except for when we're building the walls and mixing the tiles and all that. So with etiquette in sportsmanship, there is no rule book that teaches us these things. And most of this stuff, to me, begins with the instructor. If players are not taught these things from the beginning, then they don't know They don't know that they're not supposed to gasp when someone discards a joker or when someone misses a joker exchange and a lot of the other items. But if you learn it from the beginning, it just becomes second nature. Now, these behaviors, these distasteful habits and rude behaviors, they affect everybody at the table. And I don't know if any of you have ever had this experience, but it can turn a fun game into a battlefield. And my feeling is that if you're playing Mahjong, if you're spending 2, 3, or 4 hours with your friends and playing a game, it needs to be fun. And if it's not fun, I'm getting out of Dodge. Oh, I see my husband made a comment about the whiny stone, so I'm gonna have to go grab it because I don't think any of you know what that is, but I'll go grab it after we before Q&A here. So I just want to tell you one story. I was playing with a group of gals, and every single week there was one player who challenged so many things, challenged rules. It was just unbelievable. It was so, and she complained a lot. It got to the point where it wasn't fun for me anymore. And then there was another gal who called me up on the phone and said, you know, I think I'm getting out of this game. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're getting out of it? I'm getting out of it. And she's like, well, we can't get out of it together. That would be too obvious. So we had to set up a plan to actually, one of us got out first and then the other one waited a few weeks later and got out. But we had to give excuses for why we were getting out of this game, because neither one of us knew how to handle it at the time. And that's why I think this is kind of an important discussion to be having. So how do we handle these sort of things when they come up? Okay, first thing, most importantly, is lead by example. That is the best way to teach others. When others see your etiquette and sportsmanship, it will rub off. Okay, now, if that doesn't happen and we have persistent people, you might want to have a conversation with the other players and find out if they're also bothered. If they're bothered as well, you guys could have a group conversation with the person who is continually displaying poor etiquette or sportsmanship. You also can meet with this person on your own to discuss this issue. Now, anytime you do this, whether you're meeting in a group or you're meeting one-on-one, it's got to be a non-confrontational conversation. There's no time when you would ever want to, you know, start a conversation by pointing a finger at somebody and saying, you, blah, 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 blah. You know, make it about you. It's very disruptive to me, and I can't concentrate when you tap your fingers throughout the game. You know, I love playing with you. Is there any way you can curb that? And you'll be amazed at how well received it can be if you say it in the right manner. Now there's also the keep quiet to keep the peace thing. And some people are very good at that, while others are not so good at doing that. All right, now I'm going to open it up to questions, and I want to get some feedback from you guys, but I want to go grab the whiny stone. So give me 1 minute to do that, because I want you to see this cute little thing that I was going to sell them, actually. All right, so I'll be right back.
While she's gone, everybody talk.
All righty. Here I come. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And also, please follow me on Facebook, MahjCon, subscribe to YouTube so you can watch all the videos that we have weekly, our weekly live streams, and Instagram. Let me stop sharing really quickly here, and I could show you my little whiny stone. Okay, so these are the whiny stones. Okay, so when I first introduced this to a new group, this is a fun way. Hi, Andrew. Nice to see you. I didn't even see you. This is a fun way. You can make these. They've got these little like wiggly eyes and stuff, but these were made and painted and then fake hair put on them. This is kind of a cute way to break, this awkward moment if somebody is whining a lot, about not having jokers, not having won a game in weeks and blah, 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 blah. And you could just sit this on their rack and it can be passed around. So it's kind of a cute little thing. I thought it was really cute. And somebody had said, oh, you really should sell those. But I never did. But I think it is cute. My sister is a redhead, so I made her one with the fake red hair. And she's one of those that will complain about not having jokers quite a bit. So I was so anxious the first time I made this one with the red hair to put it in front of her. My God, I gave it to her. She loved it. She said her friends went crazy over it and they wanted me to make them. The pet rock. Yes, Hannah, I do remember the pet rock. It's kind of like that. Okay, all right, so let's open this up and I'm just going to go around. If you have any questions, I'll just start out at the top and just see if you have anything to add to any of this, any experiences that you may have had or any challenges that you've had during the game with these sort of things. And let's start out with Agnes, since you're up front. Up top.
Yeah, we have a fairly new player in our group, and she likes to cough into her hand.
Oh, no.
Yes, she has an elbow like the rest of us have, but she coughs into her hand. And now every time when we play, I bring a very cute little bottle of hand sanitizer, and I use it and pass it around the table.
Oh, so that was a good way to resolve it, right?
Yes, and then anyone who would, if she would cough into her hand, I'd just hand it to her. It's part of the thing, so.
Okay, so I'm trying to think, when was it? Oh, okay, it was the last tournament that I had, and somebody had a bad cough, and she was also not coughing into her elbow and coughing into her hands, and there were so many people that were upset. And of course, it's a tournament, so it's a little bit challenging at that point. But I finally got so many complaints that I had to make an announcement, not naming this person, although the person was going to know who it was. Mm-hmm. And she actually came forward and said something. And so the resolution was, does anybody have a face mask here, a fresh face mask that this player can put on? And that resolved the situation.
Good.
Which was really great thinking, because I didn't even think about that. I just made the announcement. I would have said, hey, if there's somebody who's got a cough, I've been told that there's somebody out there with a cough. If you have a cough, please, put a mask on. Of course, she didn't have one. Somebody else donated a new mask to her. Okay, Phyllis, what about you? Have you had any challenges?
Just basically every single one you said. I play with a lot of new players. Like this afternoon, I filled in with, I'm no kid, but these women are older than me. They're all in their 80s, and some of them just learned how to play. And they do so many things wrong. And, I just have to
So you keep the peace. You just like, whoop, I'm gonna,
Yeah, but a lot of times they ask me for advice because they know I'm an experienced player.
yeah,
So,
that's great.
uh,
That's
so-
great. In a lot of the situations, especially with newer players, they're very receptive to learn. And so they're not going to take it personally like someone who's very experienced. Somebody more experienced, you have to handle.
It
a little
depends
bit
on
more.
their personality. Some people are and some people aren't, and just the way they are
Yeah,
in
true.
life.
Yeah, it's true. You're absolutely right. How about you, Patty? Anything? You're on mute, so you have to unmute yourself. Because I know you play canasta too, so maybe you have similar types of things going on.
No, but I love that you covered it, and I love that you explained the website, MahjCon, and the answers are there. It's like, oh my God, perfect.
Yep.
Good going.
Thank
Thrilled
you.
that you got as far as you did. Thrilled
Thank
for you.
you. Thank you, Patty. Appreciate
Mhm.
that. And how about you, Aileen? Oh, Aileen actually maybe went to hit unmute and hit the end button, which is what I'm assuming happened. Donna,
I'm so glad you brought up this question. So what I have been seeing lately is I'm actually an instructor, so I've been bringing a lot of women into the game.
Mhm.
And as I have different groups I play with, we have one or two particular women who have played for a while. One woman's actually played for like 20 years. We kind of know that she loves the game and she plays, but she is constantly correcting people's hands. Like if she wins Mahjong, which she wins a lot, after people put up their tiles, she looks at them, she goes, well, you should have done this, and you should have done this, and you should have done, and it's making everybody out of their mind insane. It's like, it's not that you don't want to learn, but it's just, it doesn't feel constructive. It doesn't feel like she's trying to teach. It's more like, well, you should have done this, you should have done this. And
a little controlling, it sounds like.
Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah.
how do everybody kind of looks at each other and it's like, how do you really deal with that? I mean, you want the feedback but it's every single time. It's not just occasionally, like it's every single time.
Every time. Yeah. And that's a time where, you just need to, I feel, if you want to just deal with it, you deal with it. If you want to have a more pleasant situation, then you do need to bring it up somehow, whether it's to ask the other two players if they're feeling, the same sort of thing and having, maybe a little powwow with her, but in a very nice way, or you doing it on your own. I know I did it once with a friend of mine. It was a little different situation. It was something about, there was something she was doing, and I can't, so long ago, but there was something she was doing, a habit that she was in playing the game, more about the game mechanics. And I thought, gee, if she just could change her way a little bit, she'd be a much, much better player. And I remember asking her out for lunch, and we had the most lovely conversation. And I was just so careful not to say it the wrong way. And she actually really appreciated me bringing it up. But like Phyllis said, there's all kinds of personalities out there, and you could maybe say something in the nicest way to someone, and they're going to bite your head off. There's nothing you're going to do to make it any better. So yeah, Donna, you've got a challenge with that, but
See,
again,
if there's an experienced player watching me, like they're sitting out,
yeah,
I'll ask them at the end of the game, what would you have done differently? Because I feel I can always learn. I mean, I've been playing 60 years, and there's always, the card changes. And
yeah. And we also get into certain habits that we forget
right.
to make some changes to the way we play. And again, with the card changes, like you said, that could change all of a sudden the way we have to look at the way we play. So yeah, I agree with you. How about you, Andrew? I know you teach as well. You're a teacher, so tell me a little bit about what you do to help people get into these better habits when they play, and what challenges do you find?
Well, I think like I agree with what people were saying before. It's kind of getting the foundation of playing properly and the right etiquette. I mean, there's variables of what is the right etiquette, but knowing how to deal the tiles, all that. Beyond that, I think it's really hard. You say things from music. We were just playing with some friends, and my wife, somebody said, well, you should have done that, those kind of things. She always hates that. Like, don't tell me how to play. And she's fine. She's a good player, not,
But nobody wants to be told, right?
yeah. And I think like most things, if I'm playing tennis and somebody says, oh, you should do this, you kind of have to read the people. Do they want to hear from you or not? I mean, I think there's some people. We were playing and this woman said, well, when we're done, I want to ask you what you would do here because of X, Y, and Z. And I think that's like most things is if somebody wants help, you're happy to help them, but you don't, offer it to them without them asking first. But I think a lot of the stuff you talk about, from eating to phone, and it's just, it seems so tough because it's what's kind of acceptable. And if I go to a game and I'm playing with new people, I kind of, it's their table. I'll try to understand, getting into table rules is a whole nother thing, but just kind of understanding, what those people are about. I mean, some people you have to take your shoes off when you go in, others, have music. And I think, like you said before, if it's not the right group for you, you have to kind of make that decision and say. And I think it's always hard when you're new because you want to fit in and work with them. And then at that point you have to decide, is it something I'm comfortable with, or can we modify it? Like you say, is can you turn the music down a little? It's hard to hear. Or on the other side, we're more used to having music and noise and dogs around. So
Yeah, as I see the baby there, not so baby, but
but I think that whatever you're comfortable. I personally, I don't know. I go to people and it's too quiet. It seems a little awkward. I like a little bit of background music. But, everybody's different. And the phone thing is a popular one. Is like you say, people have issues, doctors or things they want to hear from. So you have to kind of handle that.
Yeah. And there's got to be, there's a way to have compromise with a lot of things, especially with the phone and the ringer and the notification volume. I swear this one person's volume for her notifications is so loud that I jump off my seat at least a foot every time it goes off. I mean, here you are, you're in the middle, you're concentrating on your hand, and all of a sudden it's so loud. So it's, challenges. These are challenges that we deal with. All right. Well, good input. Susan, how about you? Anything that you have come across?
Well, yes, I also teach. And one of the things I do try to put across to the students in sort of a fun way is your behavior, and that, etiquette does count. And you don't want to be the person that no one wants to play with. And because I remember taking a class a while ago, excuse me, anyway, and she was stressing that with us, that you want to be a polite person at the table. And the other thing I've told my students, I've tried to teach them the very best strategy, well, not the strategy, but the rules, and so that they play by the rules. But I've also said that you're there to have fun socially. And I can remember one time, this other woman that I didn't know very well, actually didn't know her at all. We were playing with another lady who had said she had taught for many, many years, and she was older, and she insisted that we play counterclockwise instead of, if I'm saying it right. Anyway, it was opposite of the way you're supposed to play. And we just kind of looked at each other across the table, me and this other woman, and we just said, uh-huh. And that's what we did. So we were gracious about it. And it was wrong. It was totally wrong, but we did it anyway. And
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, well, you know, sometimes being right is overrated. I mean, it wasn't a tournament, you know, so there's that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
listen, yeah, I have to say, I'm about to have a coughing jag, and I've been up since like 5 o'clock this morning, so I've got to go.
Well, thank you for joining us, Susan. We'll see you again, I hope.
Totally enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Okay, now, for lack of knowing the name of the next person, because it says Max of Troy, could you tell me your name? And you're on mute. So unmute yourself. Uh-oh. Oh, no, we're good. I
Yep.
thought we. Hi there.
That's me. I don't know why it went in as Max of Troy. It's Ellen. When I
Okay,
go to chat, it says Ellen.
interesting. It's pretty easy to change the name on Zoom. You can reach out to me after and I can give you the steps for that if you want. You know, it takes like literally 2 seconds to do, but so nice to see you. And what do you have to share with us? If
I
any?
mean, I think everything's been said already, but when you do play with someone really, really nice, it makes a difference.
Mhm.
There's one lady in our group, and when you're at her table, you can tell she loves the game.
Yeah,
And it just, you know,
yeah.
it just makes it so enjoyable.
Exactly. Well, you know, and there's
Yeah.
something to be said about the fact that you don't want to be that player that nobody wants to invite
Right.
into the game. I mean, that says it all. For that alone, I would want to change my behaviors and my habits, truthfully. So, yeah, I agree. And how about you, Hannah? You're on mute if you want to add anything. Nope. Okay. And oh, there we go. Hi there, Hannah. How are you? Nice to see you. I've been spending a lot of time with Hannah. Hannah's a great player, but she wanted to do advanced strategies. Oh, she is. She doesn't want to admit that she is, but she is. And she has been taking tons of advanced strategy classes with me. So we see each other often. And I told her she's ready to join me and be my assistant teacher. She thinks I'm kidding. I'm really not kidding.
I would highly recommend taking a class with Debbie on strategy. She has taught me a lot. I agree, it's a lot more fun to play with people who are fun and polite and do the right thing. The phone talking, people talking on the phone during your game is very, very annoying. We did tell people, we made it a rule at our table. You cannot talk on the phone. You have to wait till your turn out. And that was a lot better. Thank you, Debbie.
Oh, you're welcome, honey. You're welcome. And Randy, you have anything to add to any of this, or have you heard it
Well,
all?
that was just the whiny stone. You and I passed the whiny stone around quite a bit.
Yeah,
We do use it at the table.
yeah, and that's fun.
When we play Siamese, you know, just the two of us, it's like, I don't get any jokers, and who's
Yeah.
got all the
Well,
jokers?
I can keep playing with you because you're my husband. But you know, it is also awkward when you're playing with 4 people and you mahjong and you've got a lot of jokers. You know, what's the first thing you hear?
Well, you sure have a lot of jokers.
Yeah, you sure have. You have all the jokers. Look for your jokers. I mean, it's like, oh my goodness. Sometimes I feel guilty.
Or you hear the phrase, I know, now we know who has all the jokers.
I know, exactly, exactly. Crazy. All right.
But sometimes you say it in fun.
Yeah, exactly. I know YouTube, any of the YouTube viewers can't speak to us, but if you have anything that you want to add in chat, feel free to, and I'll be happy to share it with everybody. Other than that, I think that this will conclude it. I know I put 2 hours in, but I didn't think that we would be going a full 2 hours at all. But the next one, which is a deep dive into the National Mahjong League rules, it's not going to be every single rule, but it's going to be the rules that are more challenging and more controversial. The ones that come up with questions most often, and ones that are not in the rule book. So it's probably going to be a little bit more meaty because it's going to be about rules, and it's March 6th in the evening, same time. So that'll be really, that's going to make your brain explode if you're not really familiar with all of the rules. And that's, I guess, I think concludes it, unless there's any more questions or comments. Anybody have anything else to say? If not, I say goodnight to you two people, and thank you guys for joining
Night,
me
Debbie.
tonight.
Night,
Debbie,
everybody.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks,
so
Debbie.
welcome. Thanks for
Andrew.
spending
Bye.
the evening with me. Bye.
Debbie,
Bye.
enjoy the concert Wednesday.
Oh, thank you
Thanks,
so
Jen.
much, Phyllis. I'll
You're
report
welcome.
how it was. All right. Bye-bye. Good night, everyone.